r/AskReddit, who is universally loved, but actually an asshole? Oprah. She spent decades getting paid by every quack with a pseudo-scientific health product to appear as guests on her show. It's no wonder her apprentices are a dubious psychiatrist and the quack-ass weirdo doctor who continued her business of using the trust of gullible Americans to sell snake oil. This question needs an explain your answer added to the end. Before it became public knowledge, I always had to tell people what an asshole Bill Cosby was 20 plus years ago. My cat. Until recently. Ellen. Ellen's fall from grace has been well deserved and overdue. Edit, just to clarify, she's not a comic book villain like Bezos or Dick Cheney, she's just an immature narcissist with zero tact or grasp on reality. There are plenty of good clips/compilations on YouTube that shows her wildly out of touch behavior. My personal least favorite is her singing to a sleeping baby in a drugstore through a megaphone as the horrified mother is in complete disbelief. Jerry from Tom and Jerry. I've got my suspicions about Steve Harvey. Wilson. The way he just floated away at the end like their friendship meant nothing. What a dick. Maya Angelou was a raging bitch. The gal in the office next to mine had to coordinate her visit to our university. She said in her 30-year career of coordinating VIP celebrity speakers, Maya Angelou was the only one though treated her like absolute shit. Dr. Phil. He takes advantage of mentally ill people for money. Edit, he isn't universally loved, but he is very successful and is good at hiding his dark side. Jimmy Savile. Was loved. Died. Found out he was a child predator. Steve Jobs, people worship him, and I understand why to some extent. He revolutionized technology, but he was very emotionally abusive to his daughter. She released a memoir IIRC, very disturbing stuff. Michael Jordan. Rachel Ray. Loved her show, until I went to see her live. In between takes she was a very not nice person. John Lennon. SpongeBob. Imagine living near him. Old reference, but, Gary Bighoff aka Radar from Moss *Age. Apparently he was notoriously hard to work with and generally an asshole to the movie and show cast and crew, but his character was so beloved that viewers never thought he was like that. On the flip side, poor Larry Linville, Major Frank Burns, was known to be an extremely nice guy, but got sneered at and generally treated like crap by the public due to his character in the show. Just goes to show you should separate the art from the artist. Steve Harvey. For those who want to know, watch his interviews on women and atheists. He's cheated on his wives, physically abusive, acts like religion is the only thing that between him and killing and raping people. Pretty much all your favorite rock stars from the 70s and 80s had underage girlfriends. Some even adopted them, from as young as 14, and became their legal guardians so they could live with and have sex with them, and essentially keep them trapped at home to not get caught. Steven Tyler and Jimmy Page stick out, but Bowie and Prince get honorable mentions. I'm sure that's just a start. Edit, my bad, the Bowie claim has yet to be corroborated. Edit 2, not just the 70s and 80s, rock stars for all recorded history. Martha Stewart. I witnessed her call her assistant and I quote, a worthless piece of shit. No one should be called that for accidentally dropping her handbag. Edit, I also offered Martha a bottle of Fiji water and she said she only drinks Voss. Jackie Chan. I wouldn't say he's universally loved, but definitely way too popular in the West. It's pretty common knowledge here in Hong Kong, abusive husband and father, effectively disowned an illegitimate daughter, lots of whoring and alcohol abuse, sold out Hong Kong during political unrest in favor of China, yet was banned from the Chinese Communist Party due to moral failings. Edit, typo. Nicki Minaj. She's a rape apologist, so yeah, asshole. Probably 90% of celebrities. Tim Allen lived near me for a while. Always a pompous ass. However, the gentleman who plays Gus Fring on Breaking Bad is a real good guy. Remembered my name and says hi to me when we run into each other at Whole Foods. He also tipped the cashier at WF $100 just because. Homelander. Edit, tie for the awards. You guys are the real heroes. Gandhi. Drake. Everyone conveniently forgot that he's a predator who tried to groom Millie Bobby Brown, but instead made him into some wholesome meme. Fuck Drake. Not sure if they are universally loved, but I used to work in restaurants for the House of Mouse, and both Howie Mondale and Bobby McFerrin were total jerks. Acted like they were completely above everyone else, and both of them let their bratty kids run screaming around the restaurant, always smart when people carrying hot trays of food are everywhere. I had a lot of positive celebrity interactions, but those two were awful. Can't stand to listen to Don't Worry, Be Happy since. Eric Clapton. What a douchebag he turned out to be. James Franco. Dude gets caught trying to sleep with underage girls regularly, like he isn't even good at hiding it, yet he gets a pass every time. Steve Jobs. It's pretty well known that he was a giant asshole, but he's still pretty romanticized in the tech sphere. David Dobrik is probably one of the most tragic ones, not only cause he's a piece of shit, but because even if he was a great person, it's depressing that people even care about that content and actually watch that. Plus, indeed, he's a piece of shit abusive sociopath. From what my fiancé told me is that Beyoncé is extremely entitled and rude to people. He worked in a restaurant where many celebrities would go to, and he loved most of them but absolutely hated Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Jennifer Lopez. Gordon Ramsay is universally loved for being in a hole. Mother Teresa. India Bollywood actor, Salman Khan. *head to almost all his fans. He ran a campaign called Being Human that was just presenting him as a good person who cares about poor and needy. Actually, it was just a publicity stunt for his few criminal cases, like killing innocent people while drunk driving and killing endangered animals. His fans see him as a role model, but the campaign was just to get him a clean sheet from those criminal cases. After all the criminal charges were taken away from him, there is no Being Human is happening. Adding to that, he ruined a lot of upcoming actors, singers, and other performers' professional life in Bollywood because he didn't like them, or according to him they insulted him one and another way. His personal life is also shady. All of his girlfriends ended up relationship because of his personality, possessiveness, and sadistic behavior. He is promoting nepotism in the film industry, and as I discussed before, he ruined a lot of people's lives. Me, sorry to let everyone down. From the shit that I've heard, apparently Nicolas Cage and Jared Leto. Meanwhile, apparently Alan Tudyk, Brendan Fraser, and Nathan Fillion are the nicest people. Edit, y'all blew up my phone last night. How the hell did this get 1K upvotes? Jackie Chan. I still see Redditors speaking positively of him from time to time, you know, the whole doing his own stunts thing. But in the Chinese-speaking world, he's widely known as an unfaithful husband, a terrible father, and a CCP supporting bootlicker. Oprah. Bill Nye. Everyone I've ever talked with who met him has terrible stories. He's just a grumpy and mean asshole. Elon Musk. The amount of times I have heard about him paying off women because he has sexually harassed them. Chevy Chase. He is known to treat his co-workers like crap and has thrown out some racial slurs. John Stamos helped his friend rape someone and was still bragging about it decades later. If you're famous enough to be universally loved, there will be a part of the population who hates you for being an asshole. There is no one on earth who appeals to everyone. I don't think he's famous enough to be universally loved, but Mitch Albom, aka the author of Tuesdays with Morrie, hosted him at an author event for a small venue, and he was fucking furious that the event was so beneath him, was furious we didn't have a plate of fresh fruit for him, he didn't have a rider or anything demanding we have fruit at the ready, just expected us to know, was furious that more people didn't show up to fawn over him, was just generally furious. Instead of talking about his book during the lecture, he spent 20 minutes taking a steaming dump over the staff, venue, and audience. Ironic given the subject of his books. Edit: the only person we should talk more was J.A. Jans, who writes a handful of detective series and one inexplicable collection of poems. She loved doing events at our place and was there every 6 months to promote her newest book. She had a huge and devoted following, which baffled me because her events are insane. She once spent an entire hour singing for the audience, not well. When we tried to tell her we were now closing, she sort of waved grandly to her adoring fans and said, "Not until these people have heard me talk about my books," and then kept us open an additional hour while she mostly didn't talk about her book. She also always demanded we had copies of her poetry book on hand, despite the fact that no one wanted it and we could rarely even get copies from the publisher. Once we even wound up buying some from a discount bin at Costco just so we could technically have some on hand. Edit 2, it may have been a Walmart discount bin. It's been a minute. MR.T is one huge twat waffle. This happened in the 80s and MR.T was everything at this time. My friend and I were downtown, we were 15 and it was our first trip downtown alone. Saw MR.T and started toward him for an autograph. As we were walking, he parked his car in front of a bank and 2 little boys, about 7 years old, ran up to him, happy as hell. It was Mr. T. This bastard yelled, "Get the fuck out my way, you little motherfuckers," and pushed the kid into his friend. I've hated that bastard ever since. If we had cells back then, a lot of stars would have been cancelled. People did and got away with stuff because there was never any proof. Now there is. Danny DeVito. Made ya look. Danny DeVito is the fucking best. If you live in Chicago, there are a handful of casinos you can go to, but arguably the nicest one is the Horseshoe in Hammond Inn. You can go there almost any day of the week and play almost any game, and at some point in the night, someone will bring the conversation around to MJ. If you happen to play poker or craps, you'll usually cut down on the degrees of separation and hear from someone who actually saw, or claims to have seen, for what it's worth, MJ play, because they're apparently his favorite games. There are lots of stories I've heard, but here's mine. This happened mid-2000s. I didn't grow up in Chicago, never was a Bulls fan, didn't go through the hero worship, but I understood it. The guy was a legend, I can respect that. My friends who grew up in Chicago did their best to indoctrinate me. One friend in particular, a tiny, feisty, full-hearted, asthmatic but incredibly athletically achieved Japanese girl, Izzy, you're the best, who grew up in the suburbs, led the charge. She, as a graduate student, had an MJ poster on her wall, and another on the ceiling over her bed. She could make you live his last championship three-pointer with the way she got excited about telling you where she was and how she felt when she saw it. She also carried around his baseball card in the hopes of one day getting him to sign it. One night, a group of us are at the Horseshoe celebrating the end of a semester. Izzy doesn't gamble, but she knows MJ plays there sometimes, and has come along just on the chance that he'll be there. This was, I believe, the 3rd time she has come along with us just for that reason. We're playing craps, and having a blast. We're excited and young and getting drunk, it's a good night. Our group is at one end of the craps table, when we see the players at the other end standing taller to look over us at something. We turn around, and there he is, at the center and towards the front of this decent-sized group of people. People to either side are hushing up and craning their necks, but he's just walking, staring straight ahead, not even talking to his group. Some people have it in them to try to walk up to him. I wouldn't have. His demeanor is saying nothing but, "Don't bother me." But some people do, and he does stop for a few of them. Looking back, they were both blondes with tight clothes, but that didn't click with me. It didn't click with Izzy either. She starts to panic a little bit and her face turns red. She takes a few quick breaths before she says, to herself mostly, "This is it? This is it? Oh my God." Before I even realize she's gone, she's halfway to him and he's done signing the blonde's chests or whatever. He starts walking again by the time she gets to him, and I remember what happened next like I was watching a slow mo replay. He's walking toward us, Izzy's back is to us, and she's only a few feet away from him. I can tell she has both her hands forward with the card, obviously looking for an autograph. She told us later that at that moment she had just opened her mouth to introduce herself. Without looking down, she's barely 5 feet tall. Without breaking stride, he puts his hand up, grabs her face like he's palming a basketball, and twists/pushes her head out of his way. Her head is almost twisted completely around and facing us, eyes closed and mouth scrunched against his hand, before she's off to his side and he's moving on. It was like he was pushing open a door. She stumbles a few steps and falls over, and one of his entourage almost trips over her before helping her up and apologizing for him. By this time, MJ is right next to us at the craps table, still looking straight ahead, but he has this smirk on his face I will never forget. I was pissed. He didn't have to sign shit, he didn't even have to stop and say hi. But basic human decency stops way before grabbing someone's face and shoving them out of your way. Izzy was shocked, and quiet for the rest of the night. At times, she was near tears, but never let us see them. Now, she was the first to say that he didn't owe her anything and is free to do what he wants. I noticed the next time I'm at her place, though, that the posters aren't there anymore. And as far as I know, she never told her story about his championship three-pointer again. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this video and subscribe to never miss an upload.